We were covering one on the main channel, which was a guy pretty much talking about how he'd been through years of the grind, years and years waking up doing the same thing over and over again until honestly, you find out like, hey, 10, 20 years have passed. Who am I? What's happening with my life? You know, the quiet desperation that so many guys are living under. And I just wanted to spell it out for you. You know, as you get older, I'm in my mid 30s now, 35, and the conversation actually changes, believe it or not. As you get older, it's not the same when you're in your 20s, you know? Death hits different when you're pushing 40. Not the abstract concept you brushed off in your 20s, but the cold reality that slaps you across the face when you're standing at your parents' funeral or, you know, when the first health scare knocks on your door. Suddenly you're staring at your ceiling and it's 3 a.m. You're calculating how many summers you got left, wondering why your back hurts from just sleeping wrong. And then you realize somehow 2 decades of your adult life vanished while you're busy being everything to everyone except yourself, you know? And this isn't just about buying a Porsche or chasing some 25-year-old Instagram model. You know, those are the sitcom versions. The reality cuts deeper, dude. When you wake up one morning and you realize you spent your entire fucking life being the good son, the reliable employee, the stable husband, and the present father. You're checking every box society handed to you, played every role assigned to you, and somewhere along the way, you lost the script to your own story. You did everything right. Straight A's in school because mom and dad expected it. Practical degree because that's what responsible people do. The safe career path. And you got the marriage, the mortgage, the minivan. You got the whole template for the successful life. You became the guy everyone relies on. The one who shows up early, the one who stays late, the one who coaches the little league weekends and still makes it to every recital. You're the responsible one, the dependable one, the fucking adult in the room. Then one day you're sitting in traffic, the same route you've driven for 15 years, and it hits you. When was the last time you did something because you wanted to? Not because it was expected, not because it was responsible, but because it lit a fire in your soul. You can't remember. That's when the panic sets in. Not the heart racing, sweat dripping kind, the quiet kind that sits in your chest like a stone and it whispers that you spent decades building a life that looks perfect on paper, but it feels empty in practice. Society calls this the midlife crisis, like it's some temporary malfunction, a glitch in the matrix that'll sort itself out if you just keep grinding. But this isn't a crisis. It's an awakening. It's a brutal recognition that you've been running a marathon with no finish line. You're collecting these trophies that mean nothing to you. Living a life designed by a committee. You start to notice it in other men too. The distant look in their eyes during the meetings, the way they linger a bit too long in their car after work, how they talk about their teenager's college fund while their hands are gripping that beer super tight. They're all feeling it, man. This slow burning realization that they've mastered the art of delayed gratification so completely that gratification isn't even on the menu anymore. It's like you're playing a video game, grinding through levels, accumulating achievements, only to realize that you never actually enjoyed playing. You got really good at it, like really fucking good. So good that everyone expects you to keep playing, to keep leveling up, to keep achieving, and now you're too invested, too deep in the game to just walk away. You got the high scores to maintain, NPCs depending on you, a whole universe of expectations you built around the guy who never fails. Your own needs? They got filed away in a folder labeled someday, but buried under mortgage payments, college savings plans, and an endless list of responsibilities that comes with being the guy everyone counts on. You've become so practiced at putting yourself last that it feels like second nature. No, in reality, it feels like your only nature. Because the real trap isn't the crisis itself. It's the decades of conditioning that made it inevitable. From the moment you were old enough to understand responsibility, you've been trained to measure your worth by how well you serve others. Every time you swallowed your own desires for the greater good, you weren't being noble, you were digging a hole deeper, adding another brick to the wall between who you are and who you want to be. When it finally breaks loose, it looks ridiculous from the outside. Middle-aged dude suddenly dressing like he's going to Coachella getting tribal tattoos, or dropping half his savings on a car that screams, I'm still young. Everyone points and laughs, shares memes about men and their midlife crisis like it's some cosmic joke, but they're missing the fucking point entirely. You know why these crises look so goddamn immature? Because that's exactly what they are. Decades of suppressed desires exploding out like a champagne bottle that's been shaking for 20 years. When you've spent your entire adult life being mature, responsible, and measured, you don't suddenly develop new wants. You revert to the last time you actually allowed yourself to want anything freely. For most guys, that's somewhere around age 15. Think about it. That sports car you're eyeing, it's probably the same poster you had on your wall in high school. The sudden urge to learn guitar, it's not about becoming the next Eddie Van Halen. It's about reconnecting with the version of yourself that believed anything was possible. The younger woman showing you attention, she makes you feel like the varsity athlete you were before responsibility became your middle name. Most guys hit pause on their personal development the moment they step into their provider role. It's like hitting pause on a movie when you press play again 20 years later. The story picks up exactly where you let off. That's why you see 45-year-old executives suddenly talking like teenagers on social media, dressing like they're about to drop a mixtape, or making decisions that seem completely divorced from their decades of accumulated wisdom. You've probably seen the guy at the gym, the one who ignored his health for 20 years while building his business, and now he's trying to transform into Chris Hemsworth overnight. Or maybe it's your buddy who spent decades in a loveless marriage, or the kids, and now he's on every dating app trying to compress 20 years of missed experience into 6 months. It would be so funny if that shit wasn't so fucking tragic. Society loves to judge these guys. They call them immature, tell them to act their age. But what does acting your age even mean when you've never got to act your other ages? When you jump straight from taking orders from your parents to taking orders from your boss to taking orders from your family's expectations. When did you ever get to just be you? You see, the real problem isn't the crisis. It's that we treat normal human desires like some kind of character flaw. Like wanting things for yourself is somehow shameful, bro. We've created this bizarre paradox where men are supposed to be ambitious and driven, but only in ways that benefit everyone else. Want to work 80-hour weeks building a business? You're a provider. Want to spend a few hours a week learning to surf? You're being selfish. This whole system is designed to extract maximum value from men while giving minimum consideration to their actual needs. It's like running a high performance car without ever changing the oil. Eventually, something's going to break. And when it does, it's not going to be a gentle degradation. It's going to be a spectacular fucking blowout. That's why you see guys walking away from 20-year careers to open beach bars in Thailand and shit, or leaving seemingly perfect marriages to live in studio apartments. From the outside, it looks like they've lost their minds. In reality, they're desperately trying to find them again, trying to excavate their authentic selves from under 2 decades of should and must and have to. The pattern's always the same. Decades of saying yes to everyone else means you've gotten really good at saying no to yourself. You built this reputation as the reliable one, the rock, the foundation everyone gets to build their dreams on. And foundations don't get to move, they don't get to change, they don't even get to want until one day they crack. See, that crack usually starts small. Maybe you find yourself sitting in your perfectly organized garage, surrounded by all the toys you bought to convince yourself you still know how to have fun. You're looking at your mountain bike that's never seen a mountain, your fishing gear that's never touched water, your project car that's become just another item in your endless to-do list. And you realize you've become a curator of potential experiences rather than a liver of actual ones. Delayed gratification is supposed to be a virtue, right? That's what every guru on YouTube keeps preaching. Work hard now, enjoy later. Sacrifice today for a better tomorrow. Stack paper, level up, grind until you make it. It's solid advice until you realize later keeps getting pushed back like a deadline you'll never meet. You become the guy who's always saying, after this project, once the kids are in college, when things settle down. Meanwhile, life's moving at light speed, dude. Those passion projects collect dust, those dreams get filed under maybe someday, and that bucket list becomes more like a fuck it list. You're living like tomorrow has unlimited inventory, but you're shopping with expired credit. Like being a designated driver every single time. Sure, you're being responsible, keeping everyone safe, doing the right thing. But after 20 years of watching everyone also enjoy the party while you stay sober, you start wondering if you'll ever get time to cut loose. Spoiler alert, nobody's lining up to take your shift. This isn't some philosophical debate about work-life balance. This is about the raw mathematics of time and energy. You've got a finite amount of both, but society's got an infinite list of demands. Your boss wants more hours, your wife wants more attention, your kids want more involvement, your parents want more visits, your community wants more volunteering. Nobody's asking what you want because you stopped asking that question yourself a long time ago. You mastered the art of Excel spreadsheet life. Everything's scheduled, budgeted, planned. You can calculate compound interest in your sleep, but you forgot how to compound your joy. Your retirement account is growing fat while your soul's been on a steady diet of maybe next time. Remember the scene in Fight Club where Tyler Durden's talking about how we buy the shit we don't need with money we don't have to impress the people we don't like? That's amateur hour compared to what responsible men do. We sacrifice who we are for roles we didn't choose to meet expectations we didn't set to live for lives we don't actually want. The real mindfuck, you get rewarded for this behavior. Every time you put yourself last, society pats you on the back. Such a good provider. What a dedicated father, employee of the month. They're giving you gold stars for slowly erasing yourself. And like a good boy, you keep chasing the stars right into your own personal black hole, man. You know that thing about putting your own oxygen mask on before helping others? Yeah, nobody's teaching men how to do that. Instead, we taught that needing oxygen at all is some kind of moral failure. Real men don't need to breathe, apparently. Real men just give and give and give until there's nothing left to give. Then find a way to give some more. You see, being selfish isn't the enemy, it's the antidote. Not the destructive kind that ruins lives, but the healthy kind that preserves them. The kind that says, I matter too. The kind that understands putting yourself first sometimes isn't just okay, it's actually necessary for survival. But try explaining that to anyone who's been benefiting from your sacrifice. They'll look at you like you just announced you're quitting your job to become a professional Pokemon trainer. Think about how we treat athletes. Even the most hardcore pros take rest days, have recovery periods, cycle between intensity and recovery, but somehow men are supposed to run their lives like perpetual ultra marathons. No breaks, no recovery, no off season, just constant performance at peak levels across every domain in life. The human mind isn't built for infinite delay of satisfaction. That's not some profound psychological insight. It's just basic fucking biology, man. You can't keep writing checks against your future happiness, assuming there'll always be time to cash them. Time is one resource you can't earn back. You can't refinance and you can't restructure. The woman in your life or women won't understand this transformation. How could they? They've been operating in a world that encourages self care, that normalizes putting yourself first sometimes, that doesn't demonize having needs. While you've been playing Atlas, holding up everyone's world, while they've been told it's okay to have boundaries, to take mental days, to prioritize their happiness. Your wife might have fallen in love with your strength, your reliability, your unwavering dedication to providing. Now she's watching you question everything, pushing back against expectations, trying to reclaim pieces of yourself you gave away years ago. From her perspective, you're dismantling the very things that made her choose you. It's like buying a house for the solid foundation, then watching the foundation decide it wants to try being a roof. Nobody tells you this part. When you start changing the rules of the game, everybody who was winning under the old rules is going to resist. Your boss isn't going to celebrate when you stop answering emails at midnight. Your kids aren't going to cheer when you start taking time for yourself instead of being at their beck and call. Your friends might act weird when you start talking about genuine feelings instead of just sports and weather, bro. It's like being that dude who starts eating healthy while his friends are still crushing pizza and beer every weekend. They're not mad at your choices. They're just uncomfortable because your changes are making them question their own lives. When you stop playing by the constant rules of constant sacrifice, you become a mirror that reflects everyone else's compromises right back at them. The solution isn't some dramatic fuck it all moment where you torch your life and start over. That's just another form of running away. The real answer is learning to be selfish in small, sustainable ways before life forces you to be selfish in big, destructive ones. It's like working out. You don't wait until you're completely out of shape to start moving. Unfortunately, most guys do. And that's why most transformations fail. You have to start small. Take that lunch break instead of eating at your desk. Say no to weekend work projects. Book the hobby class you've been putting off. Buy those concert tickets instead of putting money in your kid's already bloated college fund. Fix the fucking project car. Go for a hike. Go in nature. Take time off. Ride your motorcycle. Small acts of selfishness are like supplements for your soul. Take them regularly and you'll avoid the nuclear option later. Your transformation isn't going to look like a movie montage. It's going to be awkward, messy, and sometimes, painful. You'll feel guilty for taking time for yourself. You'll question whether you're being selfish enough or too selfish. You'll battle decades of programming that equates self-care with self-indulgence. This isn't about becoming a self-absorbed asshole who only cares about his own needs. It's about finding the sweet spot between the martyrdom and the narcissism. Understanding that being a good man doesn't mean being a sacrifice machine, that taking care of yourself isn't just another item on your to-do list. It's the foundation that makes everything else possible. You spent years, dude, being the guy who makes things happen for everyone else. The one who shows up, who follows through, who handles his business. Now it's time to apply that same dedication to your own life, to treat your happiness with the same seriousness you treat your other responsibilities, to be reliable to yourself as you've been to everyone else, period. Some people in your life won't get it. That's fine. They'll call it selfish, call it a phase, try to shame you back to your old patterns. Remember this. Nobody who benefits from your sacrifice is qualified to judge your liberation from it. The same people who will criticize you for buying the motorcycle won't think twice about asking you to co-sign their loan. The midlife crisis isn't a disease, it's just a symptom. The disease is a lifetime of suppressing your own desires and your own identity in service of external expectations. The cure isn't a sports car or a younger girlfriend or a radical career change. The cure is learning to value yourself as much as you value everyone else's opinion of you. You don't need permission to want more from life than just being useful to others. You don't need to justify taking space in your own existence. You don't need to explain while you're finally choosing to be the main character in your own story. The path forward isn't about blowing up your life, it's about reclaiming it piece by piece, day by day. Understanding that being selfish isn't just an option, it's like a necessity. Just like they tell you on airplanes, secure your own oxygen first. Because if you pass out from lack of oxygen, you won't be able to help anyone else anyway. It's time to start breathing again. And that's the message I want to leave, men, at the end of this video. Hopefully it resonates with a bunch of you. I think too many of us are being caught in this trap, not realizing that if you don't put yourself first, you're going to end up regretting it, and it will end up destroying everything you've ever built. The foundation starts with you, and you must maintain that at all costs. Anyways, appreciate you guys for tuning in as usual. Shout outs to everybody in the private community, everybody who's been doing the private consults, and we'll see you guys on the calls as we usually do every single week. If you want to see more episodes like this, hit the subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care of yourself, boys. Welcome back, tribe. I have another one here for you that's related to the midlife crisis, but more tuned to how the average man really starts to fall into this trap, slowly day by day. And if you stay till the end, I got about 10 points for you guys here that will help you reclaim your identity, for the dudes that are stuck in the day-to-day grind and are really lost themselves in the drudgery of life every day, forced to support people or support yourself or what's going on, fellas? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a great weekend. Let's see what we got going on here. So, have people seen the Epstein list got buried? Absolute shocker. Shocker. Officially blackpilled? Yeah. Yeah, it's not looking good, boys. Pam Bondi had that, Fox News press conference, whatever the fuck you want to call that shit. Check it out. It's right here. So it says Pam Bondi said the Epstein client list was on her desk to review for release to the public just a few months ago, right? I remember that. Now the DOJ she leads claims that there is no client list. Yeah. Yeah, what happened to when she said they have tens of thousands of videos, guys, and we're trying to go through them carefully to protect the victims.
videos.
Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going.
Again, logical play.
Golly, what a world we live in, boys. It's evil out here. It really is. FBI officially concludes Epstein self-deleted. Oh, my Lord.
Jeffrey and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped.
Jeez Louie. I don't even know if I could play any of the results of this on the stream over here on YouTube. Listen to this. Man, they have so much.
But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. Wow. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas.
We have investigated ourselves and found that we have done absolutely nothing wrong. Holy hell, what a world. What could you even say, man? Honestly. And there's so many people, unfortunately, who are like, trust the process, bro. They got to sift through information. There it is. How much more trust are you going to give this government? Doesn't matter who's in there. It's an automatic loss for the average citizen. That's insane.
Well, the DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
Wow. What a departure from this to what we have today. Unbelievable. So remember, not too long ago, Elon, literally, I think like a week ago, Elon was saying that Trump was on the list. They had a fucking huge crash out public. And he then apologized, or I don't know what happened. They smoothed that shit over. But he literally said while he was crashing out Spurg style, if they don't release the list, he's on it. The list won't be getting released because he's on it. Think about this, guys. And there are people defending him saying like, well, if he was really on the list, the Dems would be using. Well, he was on the list, but not in the actual flight logs to the blah, 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 blah. Bro, release the list already. Where are the arrests? Are we going to get justice for the children? Of course we're not. Why do you think we're not? Unreal. Look, one of their clients pictured here, Prince Andrew of Duke of York. Unbelievable. There is no Epstein list. So Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years for sex trafficking, right? With Epstein. So they sex trafficked small people to who? Nobody? Where are the arrests? Who did these kids get trafficked to? Think about it. Does it make any sense? That woman is doing 20 years, guys. 20 years in prison. Who were the Johns? Wow. So fucking strange. When you watch all those videos in succession like that, it just looks like a cover-up, no matter what they do. And then now that they've basically swept it under the rug. You really do have to imagine. No, truthfully, you have to imagine that the names on that list must contain so much immense power to sweep this under the rug with the public consciousness well aware of it.
That's right. What cause is dear to your heart?
Cause is dear to my Israel, defense of Israel.
What is number one?
Jeez Louise, boys. Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah, I don't think right or left, conservative, liberal, whatever, you're not going to be happy about this. This is crazy to me. Well, we're finding out that even though Elon is spurging out and, you know, he might be saying shit he's not supposed to, the fact still remains that he said he was on the list. He said Trump was on the list, and they don't release the list. And they go through this public fucking circus multiple times. We got them on video literally saying they got a huge stack of papers. They're going through the names, thousands of videos. You know, the videos. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. The nothing happens crowd was correct this time. Nothing ever happens. Congratulations. I give you guys props because you were 100% on the money. Nothing ever happens, bro. The true black pillars of politics were like, hey, yeah, that's politics. Watch, nothing's ever going to happen. Sure enough, nothing ever happened. Unreal. And then, okay, so, all right, let's forget about this. This is nonsense. It got black holed in the memory of the public, unfortunately. But what I did see is, this is the irony here. Let's cover this one. So on Sky News, it says Mexico City devolves into chaos. This happened 13 hours ago. It devolved into chaos as citizens protest influx of migrants. They're talking about passport bros, expats. They're talking about gentrification, boys. In the first comment. Now, this is what I call irony. Oh, Mexico. Oh. Afuera, they're saying. Get out. Get out of Mexico. So weird, though, that they're just robbing and looting businesses. I wonder what NGO is funding this absolute travesty of a protest. Ah, look at, wow, the racial tension here. So this mob is yelling at this white woman for being in Mexico, telling her to get out. Very interesting, right? The kind of energy they had when millions of them have came into the United States. Oh, the irony. The irony, boys. Isn't it ironic that the please let me in, we're just trying to have a better future. And then now that deportations have started, now it's an issue. Interesting. Damn, kill a gringo, huh? These are the people we're letting into the country, by the way, by the tens of millions. This is how they really feel about you, right? We gotta mute it because of the music, but it says, protests in Mexico City have erupted over the weekend as locals fight back against tourism and migrants amid rising prices. I'm gonna just pause it here for the irony to let you digest. Is this empowering? That they get to do this. This is empowering, correct? Let's let this digest a bit. Uh-huh. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely insane. Let's keep going. We have it muted because there's music. It says, look at this. On Friday, what initially started as a friendly protest quickly turned violent as vandalism and property destruction ran rampant. Wow. Ironic. According to the New York Times, tensions have grown across the capital city due to rising cost of rent and the reconstruction of old neighborhoods. It says the old neighborhoods have been swapped out for new developments as the city continues to grow into a tourist hotspot for so-called digital nomads. Oh no. Oh no. What do you think was happening in America when they were pouring over the border by the millions? Wow. So when it happens in reverse, it's now gentrification, it's evil, and they're protesting, breaking shit, robbing businesses, out, afuera, gringos, you're not welcome. Wow, okay. Weird. Officials were quick to denounce the protests, which were initially peaceful but became violent, saw businesses vandalized, yeah? So he just started just robbing shit and looting. Cool story. Irony. Go back to your country, the reverse Uno card. During the protest, signs such as your new home is an invasion. We shouldn't feel like foreigners in our own land, and expat equals gentrifier we're seeing. I love this. Can they apply this to Europe? Please. I'm just wondering if Europe's looking at this and going, holy shit, look at this. So it's okay if you're not white to say we shouldn't feel like foreigners in our own land. That's great. Good for them, right? Super empowering. But if Europeans say this, it's white supremacy. Please explain. Somebody please give me an argument why this is okay. Is this double standard? This is peak clown world indeed. Wow. Expat equals gentrifier. Okay. And so if third worlder equals invader, then can Europe say that? Can Americans say that? That illegals equal criminals? Unbelievable, the hypocrisy. Look at this. The initial violence began after protesters smashed windows of storefronts, including a Starbucks and a bank. Okay. Who's funding this shit? The protesters began ransacking stores in high-end neighborhoods of Condesa and Roma, according to the Associated Press. I want to know who's funding this shit. Mexico City's government secretary, Cesar, confirmed in an interview that 15 businesses were damaged. Okay. In the protests, interesting enough. Your way of life. What did this sign say? Your way of life is killing our community. Something colonizer BS. Hold on, let's pause it here. We got to see what this sign says. It says, your way of life is killing our community. Pretty please, stop your colonizer BS or get your immigrant ass back to your country. I love this. I love this, bro. Expose it all. Expose it. This is tremendous. Imagine if white people had signs like this, get your third world ass back to your country. Your third worldness is killing our community. We're not safe. You steal, rob. Eat cats, maybe. I don't know. Eat doves. Eat birds. The swans were being slaughtered. Come on, man. Come on, man. You have to love the irony. This is what's ironic about all of this shit. It's like it's completely gone over their heads. Unbelievable, bro. After years, decades of taking in migrants, decades of being told that you must accept these people, decades of being told multiculturalism is your greatest asset. It's a gift that keeps on giving. After all the decades where you're watching your cities, your communities, your schools, your neighborhoods degrade to a level of the third world, when you're watching your community and your society turn to shit, where you become a low trust society in the span of like a decade from an influx of migrants, unbelievable. Now that it's happening to them, and by the way, the people that are living there, the digital nomads, the expats, they come with money and wealth. They spend money. Gentrifying is a cute way of saying they invested so heavily in the area that they're living in that area becomes a bubble. It's nicer than all the other third world shit that we're forced to live in. They brought their money. They created infrastructure. They live in a nice, quiet, safe community, and we want to live in that community too. Everything else is getting too expensive because these people moved in. Unbelievable. Wow. That minister also called for the end of the xenophobic messages seen in the marches, asserting that the capital is a city of migrants. Interesting. But look at this. So while one government official says one thing, Mexico City Governor Carla Brugada recognized the damage caused by gentrification and that she is working on a solution for affordable housing. Right, dude, totally not the cartels owning your fucking government. It's totally not you taking money from corrupt officials and cartel and selling out your population. It's the migrants' fault. Ironic, huh? We use that same argument here in America. But it's ironic that in Mexico, the government's owned by the cartels. How many fucking Mexican officials and reporters have died in the last couple of years just from the cartels alone? Look at these. This is great. Neo-colonialism. It's our land. Wow. Gentrifier. Bad day for gentrifiers. That's what it says there. It's got a picture of the sun. It's a blonde, yellow sun. Gentrification is colonialism. Can you imagine? I just want to say, imagine. They look like leftists, too. Look at them. All of them. It's like the Mexican version of leftists in America, of course. They all have a look, bro. It's so weird. I wonder who's funding this brain rot. But it's very interesting that if you would have had white people say, like, the white equivalent of this stuff, it would have been branded white supremacy, Nazism. It would have been branded crazy shit immediately. What else? Mexico City, this is the governor. Mexico City does not agree with gentrification. We know that gentrification can exclude those who have lived all their lives in their neighborhoods. That's like saying the United States of America does not agree with third world migrants or illegal migration. We know that illegal migration can cause problems for the inhabitants that have been living here their whole lives. Interesting. White supremacist, Nazi, right wing. Immediately. But this is empowerment, right? A local who attended the protest spoke about the struggles people face as the price of rent increases and neighborhoods are transformed. Look at this guy, bro. Who fucking hired this dude? He looks straight out of the fucking like NGO playbook.
The reason we've gathered here is precisely to hear the thoughts of many victims, mainly young people today, for whom it's almost impossible to live, to find housing. It's not just that, we're living the consequences of gentrification, which is the government directing its public policies towards people with higher purchasing power, often illegally displacing local population who have lived in these neighborhoods for 40, 50, and we have documented cases of up to 60 years.
Says nothing says this is my land like vandalizing and robbing the business in your community. What happened to open borders and nobody is illegal? There's a huge difference between tourists who visit for a short time and spend money and leave, and people who illegally cross a border and live off the taxpayers for decades. Anyone else notice how no one is calling them racist? Great, let's trade. You take yours, and we'll take ours. Imagine if they got that angry at the drug problem. It's called karma. You have to protect your own country, not destroy it, fools. I wonder if someone will burn a Mexican flag while waving an American flag. That's so good. I'm from LA. It's nice to see Mexicans treat their own cities like they treat mine. Jeez. Yes, yeah, we know. Sucks when your country is invaded. Start paying for their food, rent, medical, and phones. Then you'll truly understand what it's like in America. Pay taxes, speak Spanish, and use pesos or get out of here. The irony. Mexicans protesting migrants can't make this insane stuff up. Holy moly. The fact that nothing makes sense anymore is the only thing that makes sense anymore. The number of Mexicans living in the USA is about 40 million. The number of Americans living in Mexico, less than 1 million. Unbelievable. Amazing. Not one foreign flag is displayed, hypocrites. Look at that. Someone said karma for the Mexican president for saying that's what's happening to immigrants in America is unjust. This is one of the most comical things I've seen in a long time. Unreal. Funny how other countries react when the tables are turned. Funny indeed, isn't it? Yeah, the double standards is really what's so tiring, actually. Gentrification isn't good. Illegal immigration isn't good. And people are tired of both. So, yeah, it affects both communities, but only one side is demonized for saying the truth. They don't want us there, and we don't want them here. We have a process in place. If you'd like to immigrate to the United States of America, and you have to follow it. Simply crossing the border and just pretending like you're fucking one of us or, working under the table for decades doesn't mean you are now officially an American. It doesn't mean you have rights and you broke the law criminally entered the United States. Man, weird though. That was a weird one. I caught in the last second. Anyways. Well, what's going on, bro? I'm glad you could catch me live. So today we're going to be talking about, we'll get into our main topic of the stream. Take a sip of water. Someone said I was ignorant. Let me guess, bro. A Mexican dude said that. Yeah, it's isn't it noon Eastern right now? Double check this shit. Yeah, it's noon right now, dude. Yeah, but we haven't covered anything yet. We haven't started. The main one is starting right now. We're just dicking around and watching what's going on. All right, so do I have any advice on being a sped adult and navigating through life in this crazy world? Bro, being a normal adult is already crazy enough. Yeah, it's not easy for anybody today unless you manage to get extremely wealthy. Then it's never been better. The access to the lifestyle you have today by being wealthy has never been better, quite literally. It's actually insane. I don't want a barber. I'm just letting my hair grow out. I used to line it up, but no need. I'm going to slick it back or sideways or whatever. How's the cost of living and standards of living in Croatia? Slightly, it depends where you are. On the coast, it's incredible. But cost of living escapes most of the local population. It's expensive for local guys, just like in the United States. Oh.
On today's episode of This Week in Stupid.
Yeah, that's our world today. Welcome in, Isaac. Thank you, brother. But what I was going to say, the cost of living in Croatia escapes the native population. Same as the United States. It's difficult, man. If you're a native in America earning American wage, you're fucked. It's hard. If you're a Croatian earning a Croatian wage, you're fucked. It's hard. If you're in Romania earning a Romanian wage, you're fucked. It's hard. But for an American that somehow made his job remote or is doing the digital nomad shit, you actually can live a great life overseas. You will be missing out on some conveniences that America offers, of course. There's bureaucracy everywhere in the world, but it's particularly shit in the Balkans. You know, access to corruption, that's true. In the United States, you can't really do anything corrupt unless you're at high levels of government. Or I would just say, unless you're connected even at the local level. In Balkans, corruption is basically endemic. Everybody partakes, gives gifts, does favors, blah, blah, blah. So things can be smoothed over because most of the time shit doesn't work. This is the one thing I hate about, the Balkans in general. They accept the corruption here, that it's seeped into the fabric of society. Like giving your doctor a gift, they're working on it, but giving your doctor a gift or, just to get a meeting with somebody, you have to do something for them. You have to offer someone something to do something for you. Even if you get pulled over, if you have like a 20, 30, 50 euros, whatever, you could hand the cop 50 euros and they'll let you go. And they expect actually for you to hand them money. Because their salaries are like 800 euros a month. Dude, cops make 800 euros a month, less than $1,000 a month. You hand them a 50, you're good. So, low level corruption like that, and high level, obviously, at all levels, it's shit. So at least America on some basic level functions for the average person. If you need to do something at the DMV, you don't need to bring a basket of goodies to the lady at the DMV to get the most basic shit done. There's expectations and standards. And you actually have, for example, if a company fucks you over in America, you could sue. The reason America, I think, honestly, after being overseas, the only reason America even functions, guys, at the level that it does is because you could sue the fuck out of people. If you couldn't sue the fuck out of people and win cases, America wouldn't be as good as it is. The reason they tell you your coffee's too hot, the reason there's those plastic cups with like the baby-proof fucking tops, the reason there's so many basic warnings on everything and the way shit's constructed, it's because of the fact that you could sue the dog shit out of somebody for the most basic of things and win money, real money, millions of dollars. If a company here fucks you over, if you buy a product, for example, at the store and, they claim something was in it that it wasn't, or just screwed you over in some manner or another, no, you can't do anything about it. There's no suing anybody. There's no getting any money from anyone. You're done, bro. You got fucked. Like, congratulations. There was a huge case in Romania not too long ago. Look up Nordis real estate firm or something. Like, they're called Nordis, Nordis, I believe. Huge real estate company, construction company, builder. And guys, here's how fucked up it was. People were putting in deposits upwards of like 90% on apartments to get in early on building. That was kind of your reward. Is if you're an early investor, you get apartments for cheaper, you help fund the construction of the apartment, and then once you get the keys handed over, you either live in it or you sell it or rent it. It's like a great investment and also to actually live in. They fucked everyone. They went bankrupt.
And how they went bankrupt? They were highly embedded into the government. The wife of the dude, the CEO, was in some head of government position that allowed them to get all the documentation and the permits needed to go further, right? And even the people, the notaries that were signing shit, even they were in on the action from the government. Because what was happening is I pay money, 80, 90% for an apartment. Listen to this shit, guys. It's going to blow your mind, the corruption in Eastern Europe. I pay for an apartment, right? Let's say I give them 80%. It's in phase 1 of building. So basically the foundation's there and that's it. And the buildings start to sprout up. They're building. If they even build it at all, we'll just go with they managed to complete the building. Okay, by the time it comes for you to get your keys, all of a sudden, there's an issue with your keys being handed to you because they've sold your apartment to 4 or 5 different people, which shouldn't be possible because there should be, at the government level, paperwork that's notarized by the local notary, right, at the county level that says, like, this apartment is already accounted for. The notaries themselves were in on the corruption. So they were selling multiple, like, of the same unit of apartment to multiple people. Then it ended up finding out that this dude and his wife went on lavish vacations. We're talking $40,000, $50,000 a night hotels, doing God knows what, absolute lavishness that they were living under. And then the company just was like, yeah, we're bankrupt, bro. After some investigative journalism found out they did an incredible piece. It was like an hour and some change long. It's all in Romania. Got millions of views, which is big for a country the size of Romania. And there is no insurance policy for the builder like we have here in the West, for example. In the West, the builder has to have an insurance policy, and they can't take more than 5% at the initial stage. And then it's tiered. So as a builder, once you're 30% done with the project, you can grab another 30% from the investors. And as that 30% finishes, you grab another 30%. So it's like, as the phases go along, what ends up happening is that's what you invest in by phase. Okay. So after they wasted all that money and the huge investigative documentary came out on them, they declared bankruptcy. There is no insurance company that then comes and takes over. The money that you gave them, see, in the United States, the money that you give these companies to invest, the builders must go in a separate escrow account, which they could only use to access for building materials and making the project go along. Here, it was nothing. It was like, I'm the owner, you give me money, and I have direct access to all the money, bro. I can go on massive amounts of like cocaine and hooker theme parties all day. So these people were literally, they had access directly to the cash people invested in and pulled money out. They were living the high life, destroyed thousands of people. You have to understand, they don't know, the people that were investing in these apartments, it's not like they're investing a lot of money, guys. Some of these apartments were only like $80,000. You know, some were $60,000. Okay, the penthouse stuff is like $200,000, whatever. But for people here in Eastern Europe, that's your life savings. That's what you were going to help put, like your family was supposed to live in there, or this is for your son or your daughter to help start their lives, or something of that nature where you go and retire. They lost everything, and there are no repercussions for that company. I think they might have jailed a couple of people, but that money's long gone. It's not recoverable. And that lady ended up stepping down from her position in government. Nothing happened, bro. Nothing actually happened. The government didn't, they tried to pass some bullshit laws. Be like, okay, we now require that builders get insurance for the projects that they're building. The insurance doesn't even exist on the market for the builders to even buy. It's a product that doesn't exist. So the government patched together bullshit that is not even possible to enforce. So now when the builder's like, okay, I'd like to build this project, and by the way, we're going to limit the amount that you can take as an investment in the down payment. How am I building anything? Okay, you limited the investment, and now you introduced legislation that says I must get insurance. What company do I contact? There's no insurance on our market for this. It's so far. That stuff's crazy. That kind of shit doesn't happen in America. Because you could sue the absolute dog shit out of people. But the level of retardation of Eastern Europe never fails to shock me. Basics like that the people put up with shit like that these people don't get Luigi'd. I'm shocked. For the Balkans being so hard-headed and fire in their blood and, you know, angry fucking people and don't take shit they're remarkably fucking retarded. I have to say, for my own people, bro. I love you guys. I really do. But you choose to put up with this bullshit. And they have sayings, you know, he was good. He stole, but he also gave. He stole, but he also gave. Not bad, right? They have sayings like that in this part of the world. You know, it's like, yeah, everybody's corrupt. It's fine. At least he gave a little. Imagine accepting so little. Bro, these people have the will and the power in them to change their government overnight. Their governments aren't that big or powerful. It's just they've been conditioned to be slaves. That's the problem. The programming is since birth. It's the post-communist mentality, you know, the powerless feeling that they have. They don't have that revolutionary spirit anymore that, you know, had the Iron Curtain fall or whatever. They accept the glass towers. That's the new slavery in the modern world. I've always wanted to talk about this stuff. Beware the glass towers that they bring you, like accepting the fact that you're in the EU, for example, these smaller European states, like the EU represents the path to progress and prosperity. No, they're just glass towers and shackles around your neck. But people don't see that here. They're not their own sovereign nations. They do what Brussels tells them to do. You know, America has its own problem too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Americans accept getting taxed to death. Americans accept not even having health care for them. It's only for corporations. Americans accept a lot of bullshit too. It's just a different kind of bullshit. Americans expect, you know, the basic necessities to work, but then they get fucked royally in every other aspect of their lives. They get no vacation time. They get no time off. They get charged at hospitals to birth kids. It costs $10,000 to $20,000 to give birth to a kid. The hospitals even charge you skin touch. There's a fee for skin touching. You know what I mean? Like America, the food, you're being poisoned to death. So Americans accept a lot of shit too, man. I don't know. I guess you could say the Western, most people do. I'm not going to say it's a Western problem because you go to somewhere like Thailand, you'll see that the people there accept a lot of bullshit too. I don't know what it's going to take, or if this is a cyclical thing that happens just with the generations. Like you get a soft life and you forget, right? Like your grandfather had a hard life. They made changes. Then your father's life was easier. He tried to maintain the status quo or change it a little bit. And then your life is the easiest. But the status quo is falling apart because it no longer works for the modern world. People lose all sense of duty, civic duty, camaraderie, brotherhood, all that shit. We get soft on our principles and our ideals, and then our societies collapse around us. And then now you're living through the ushering in of the hard time where you no longer have rights as a citizen. Yeah. So, I mean, look at this. That's crazy. I literally asked my brother for a ride to work this week while my car's in the shop. He said no. And now I'm stuck paying $300 for a fucking rental car. That's insane. That's your own blood. Miggy, thanks for the $1, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, man. The world's, it sucks, dude. It sucks to see the suffering. In America, like, this is also what's crazy. In America, you'll see the homeless encampments, the tents, all that shit is shocking for a European to see. So just the fact that you could be in the most powerful nation in the world and then some sections of your cities are straight homeless people everywhere. Insane dichotomy. Then you come to somewhere like Eastern Europe and you just see that shit's not working at all, even on the basic level. And it's just like, why do you guys accept this? Yeah. There's so much, dude, about this topic. Honestly, I could talk about this shit all day. Yeah. Winners and losers of capitalism, pretty much. I mean, but the scale of it is what's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, the cyclical thing. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So now that we're living through the hard times, I wonder if we're going to start going back into more hardline policies. The pendulum switches back into more of the republic, hardline, like authoritative style governance. I think so. Why are Europeans very tolerant? That's a good question. I really don't know. I think it's because they don't have the same freedoms. To be honest, they don't. As America has like a kind of a wild, rebellious spirit to it, and Europeans are taught to conform. I mean, look at the difference in police. That's one of the starkest differences you'll see. In America, a cop will fucking plug you full of holes immediately if you don't obey commands. If it looks like you have a knife on you, a gun, anything. If you reach for your pocket and you don't tell them I'm reaching in my pocket, yeah, they have no guns. You have to warn a cop, I'm getting my ID, officer. I will slowly pull it out of my pocket. If you're in a tense situation, you can get fucking shot. In Europe, if there's a dude stabbing somebody, like a migrant, for example, and the cops go to subdue him and break his arm, the cops will be reprimanded for how they treated the guy that just stabbed a bunch of people. Because they were too rough. Because they exerted too much force. And they'll get suspended and whatever else happens. It's crazy, the difference. Yeah, they're neutered here. I think they've been neutered since World War II. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of scars on the minds of the people here because they have family directly affected by almost everybody does. Like almost pretty much every single person here, direct bloodline to World War II and the horrors that they've experienced in. There's like historical things that you can walk by, you can drive past, you can go visit that shows you the scale of what was happening on the continent. Yeah. Americans are completely detached from that. It's not a bomb dropped in continental US. So, yeah. America's last thing was the Civil War, really. And that was, yeah, too far. Yeah, Europe's not been the same since World War II. The psyche changed completely. So, I think that has a lot to do with everything. But what I'll give them is this. They're very much more independent of the government because they have no choice. The average American depends on the government way more than they
Daniel sent $5. No revolution will ever happen due to multiculturalism. We no longer have unity and people do not fight and die for people that are not their own.
I think, yeah, I'll agree with that one. Multiculturalism, yeah. Yeah. The problem is they create parallel societies inside, which they then reject the dominant culture they've immigrated to. They have no skin in the game, nor do they care. So these parallel societies make you feel like a stranger in your own country. And by the way, immigrants that don't plant real roots in a country are some of the worst people to bring in for any country in general. If there is a war in XYZ country, it doesn't matter. The mass migrants, the illegal migrants are the first to flee. They don't build your country up. They won't bleed for it. They won't go fighting a war for a nation they don't consider theirs. You know, America used to be monocultural. It was the American culture, and that was it. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, didn't matter. If you were born here, raised here, spoke like one of us, thought like one of us, celebrated the predominant, Christian culture, everything, all the same. Couldn't tell. Apart from skin color, you were good. You were good. But that shit's gone. Now there's actively funding from foreign adversaries, I would say, that literally is pushing people to reject American culture and carve out their own. So, yeah, someone says the Protestant ethic. Now we have the black culture separating itself, white culture trying to separate itself, Asian culture separates itself. Then there's LGBTQ. It's not even race anymore. It's also ideas. There's ideologies of the right and left separating itself. Then men and women are separating themselves, right? It's like, I need to fight for me, for men. The chick is saying she fights for women and women's rights. And, so it's like we're divided across so many lines that when you are forced to make a decision about, fighting for a nation, the first thing you're going to do is fight for your group. Well, who is your group? Your group is those you immediately identify with. And that could be whatever, any one of the things I mentioned, not the state. Do you see how divided and far removed we are from the state? The nation. Who do you fight for? America. If you ask somebody that, who do you fight for? America is probably the last thing on people's minds now. I fight for insert rights. I fight for LGBTQ. I fight for women's rights, feminism. I fight for males' rights. I fight for, blacks in America. I fight for Asians, Hispanics. I fight for Jews. I fight for this and that. And, I identify as this thing. I fight for these non-gendered, non-binary. I fight for blah, 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 bro. There's a million fucking boxes that people assign themselves today. And that's what's causing a division in society as a whole. I think it's fucking toxic as shit, honestly. And we need to quash all of that. If you want to save this country, we have to get back to the one dominant culture that helped get it this far. That's it. If you live in America, you have to be considered an American. Don't give a fuck. Don't care where you came from. Don't care what you believe in. You're American and you believe American values, end of story. If you don't, go back to where the fuck you came from. We're not ready for that conversation yet, though. It's a very simple one, honestly. It's the bare minimum expectations of people who immigrate to America. That's it. Bare minimum, bro. It'd be so asinine to go to a country. Just imagine, and then telling them how they should be treating you. And shit. Like, that's what the migrants do in Europe. They go to Europe and Northern Europe and, all the other one like France, the UK, Germany, all the shit that you see, Sweden, blah, blah, blah. And the migrants are like demanding like Islamic rights and shit, Sharia law. They're demanding like things for Muslims to make their lives better and like their own spaces and all this shit. Bro, fuck off to where you came from then. It's not racist to say that. You're a guest here. And on top of that, the government spits on the citizens that work hard and pay taxes because the welfare state's paying for you. Our coffers are being drained. That money's supposed to go to us and our kids because we worked here for generations to build this country up. And these people come in here demanding that you give them special treatment. Fuck off to where you came from. It is not racist to say that. That's not hate to say that shit. Americans shouldn't feel ashamed of telling migrants, fucking speak English, bro. Or go back to your country. Don't be ashamed. That's bullshit. That you can't feel like your own in your own country. That's whack, bro. I don't want to walk around America and hear nothing but foreign fucking languages. Go back to your country. I speak English. I had to learn it. I sound completely natural. So why the fuck don't you if you've been here longer than I have? If I'm going to live permanently in some place, I'd want to assimilate as much as I possibly could. Wouldn't you? That would make my life easier. Sure as fuck. Yeah. The fuck out of here, bro, with all your languages and your customs and all that. The moment you sign that paperwork to come here and live in this country in America, you're done. That shit's dead. Your past is dead. Your country's dead. You are now American in America. Where you came from is a fucking distant memory. And if you want to revive it and fly flags of other nations and all that shit and be prideful where you came from, you can rip your fucking passport and go the fuck back. Goodbye. End of story. It's not, is that a supremacist of me to say? Oh my God, he's being mean. Yeah, go fucking back to your country then, because it's so much worse than America. Even being oppressed in America is better than the shithole you fucking crawled out of. That's what they don't want to tell you. While they fly their flags and demand special treatment and say how the institutions are corrupt in America, their fucking shithole countries that they're from had them starving to death, risking their lives to get here. Fuck off, bro. And this is, I say this because an American can't say this. I say this as an immigrant myself. That's what's crazy. I am a first generation immigrant, guys. I had to get naturalized. I was born in another country. I came to the United States as a child. Obviously, I have assimilated. Yeah. As another immigrant, looking at all these immigrants, send them the fuck back. Every single one of them. Don't feel bad. If you're an American, you're looking at all these immigrants, I don't give a fuck what name you give them. Third worlders, invaders, call them what you want. I don't give a shit. You're a guest. You're a guest. At best, bro. Shit is crazy to me. Yeah, shit is crazy to me. I don't feel any kind of way if an American looks at me and he goes, my country, my forefathers built this. And I go, yeah, they did, bro. Your family, people that say shit like, I got family, I fought in a civil war, nothing but respect. I'm like, damn, you have roots, dude. You've been here since the beginning. You bled for this shit. Grateful for what your forefathers were able to create that gave me an opportunity in this country to be able to plant down roots and start my own family that will further provide and help build this nation up to be even greater. I am grateful for the sacrifices of the men before me, which I have no kinship to. But now, right, through, taxes, through the businesses that I've ran in America, I've provided, I've helped build a bunch of things in the Eric's at a remodeling company. So I helped build up and repair the infrastructure. I've helped, in taxes alone, the contributions I've made are fucking insane. I paid back into the system 10x and happily too. But for the immigrants to come here, especially recent ones, and just pretend like this is their fucking land and they should have special privilege and like, what do you know about my struggles? Fuck off with your struggles, bro. Go back to struggling in your third world shithole. That's why we all ran away from there, because the situation's damn near hopeless. I'm going to tell Americans how to run their country and shit. Get the fuck out of here. Just saying, boys, as an angry fucking immigrant myself. Jeez.
Isaac sent $5. I personally think it's best to know where you came from to remember why you're here.
Yes, they forget that the moment they get their papers. That's the problem. They pretend that shit didn't happen. And then they see their own countries with rose-tinted glasses, dude. That's the saddest part. I know what the real Romania is like. I am not under any illusion why my family chose America.
Jordan Anthony sent $10. In South America, they say you need to adapt to the culture, all while people come here. They bring their own culture and have the nerves to be conceited like they're not guest is crazy work. Much love to all.
Yeah, it's just basic respect, man. And it's lacking in a bunch of people. And it's sad. That's really what it is. All right, let's get into this. Welcome in, guys. Yeah, I went on a long rant there. My bad. I get passionate about this shit. Okay. We'll get started on the main episode. Calm down. All right. So the main thing that we're supposed to cover today is the disappearing middle, and why average men become invisible. And unfortunately, we live in a society that's built a factory for, the most dangerous men, practically. The ones that are made to feel invisible. And they villainize these guys. So we'll start with the great polarization, right? So let's define what the invisibility is, because there's 3 tiers of it, you could say, okay? So The hypervisible, you already know where I'm going. This is like the top 10, 20% of men that rake in the lion's share of everything in society today, not just women, but also money, also dating apps, for example, if we're going to talk about dating. The top 5% get 95% of the matches, not just 95% of the matches. Though the top 5%, only the top 2% are the ones that are actively matching and scoring. So of the 5%, 2 go on what they call successful dates. So really it's like it's the top 2% getting 98% of the work. That's crazy. Okay. And then you have the social media amplification. We already know about this. If you are an absolute physical specimen, life for you is on easy mode as a man also, not just women, but you'll get way more engagement. Like if you look like a Chad, it's much easier to get discovered. You're swimming in poon. You have absolutely no problem with any, you don't even need dating apps. You just honestly, an Instagram. Instagram is the best dating app for a good looking guy. Period. End of story. And the problem is though that this creates a false perception of what a normal guy looks like. And that sets impossible standards for the normal guy. So when women are swiping through social media and all this shit, they're seeing perfect looking dudes because as we covered in the last episode, they know the applications, the platforms themselves are tracking what you're looking at, what you're zooming into. So imagine if a woman is zooming onto a guy's face, a guy's abs, shit like that. She's going to only see those kinds of men on that kind of level. So when you step out into the real world and see what an actual man looks like, a normal person, the perception is absolutely twisted. It's not real, right? And then you have the pathologically visible. So that's the bottom 10 to 20%, okay? Only through dysfunction do they see these men. And honestly, I would have to say that the bottom 10 to 20% is growing. It's probably like the bottom 50% of men are pathologically visible. In terms of, if you're that 50%, you are a criminal, most likely. You're probably an addict to drugs or a druggie of some sort, or you're like an extremist, an incel. That's what they see, 50% of the bottom, right? The other lower half of men. Okay? And how often do you see the average guy represented in movies, in TV shows, social media? Do you ever see anything by average guys whatsoever? Everything. Just even you thinking back in your own head. Do you see average men on social media at all? I'm really curious because the guys I see are ultra jacked, ultra fucking rich, like business magnate. There's nothing that shows you what average guys are. And average guys don't trend on social media. Nobody wants to see an average fucking dude. And you know what the average fucking match rate for that guy is? I want you guys to guess. Give me a percentage of what you think the average match rate for a dude is. The numbers are gonna fucking shock you. I guarantee it. No one's guessing this correctly. The average match rate. In a percentage. What do you think? All right, you guys are trolling. Somebody put 0.005%. Jeez Louise. Whoever said it, bro, it's less than 1% is spot on. It's 0.87%. You have a less than 1% match rate as an average dude. Okay? And then, that's so fucked. Someone wrote 0.0000001%. Someone help that brother out. But what they won't tell you is that these guys uphold society. That bottom 50% is 70% of infrastructure workers. You get no respect for digging ditches, for putting up power lines, for doing roofing, construction, infrastructure work, keeping the power on for everybody, the water lines. None of that. No news about that shit. There's a video I remember seeing not too long ago. I think I posted the short on the channel. The guy was cleaning out a manhole and there was fucking cockroaches. As he was pressure washing it, there's cockroaches all around him. I'll never forget that video, dude. Never forget it. It had some comment about feminism on it too, but it just blew me away. or when there's women, especially the video I covered earlier today. If you guys managed to see that one, the fake jobs that women have in corporations. So you see the fake jobs that women have in corporations where they need to play with Legos, hug dolls, and drink red wine at work. And then you have that dude pressure washing a fucking manhole with cockroaches covered all over. I can't wait for the AI revolution to come and just wreck the shit out of these daycare jobs. I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. White collar work, 90% of it is fucking fluff. It's bullshit. It shouldn't even exist. And of that 90%, it's like 88% are fucking women working those jobs. All this shit is going to disappear. God, the effect that's going to have on the economy. I cannot wait to see that. Can't wait to see that play out. Jeez. Someone said, why do a lot of women prefer criminals and drug dealers? Exciting because those guys don't give a fuck about them. It's not that they're criminals and drug dealers. It's just the mentality a criminal and a drug dealer has on women is they're garbage. They're to be discarded, pumped, and dumped. Women like being used like that. Like the number one thing, the search trends on porn that women look up is degradation porn. Hardcore degradation. Women look at that stuff, right? It's a major... I wouldn't call it a kink, but fantasy that all women have is that to be degraded. Who do you think likes to degrade women the most? It's those kinds of guys. So, or at least more likely to degrade women, right? And so now if you're at the bottom 50% and you get, told that you're an incel, that you're a druggie, or you look like a fucking criminal or a creeper of some sort, right? They'll basically weaponize this against you. You existing is a threat to them, right? Like you are the, I was going to say bloodline, but you're the genetic material that needs to be discarded in the eyes of these people. Yeah. And then I guess you could say you have the invisible middle, which these are where most guys fall into. It's like you're there, but you don't really exist. Yeah. And we know what that's like. It's like a fucking caste system out here, like we're in India and shit. And, the way society frames it is so fucked up. You're either a headline, like a success, or a problem, And the reward for being stable is being invisible in the society that we live in. To be an average man is to be invisible. And I've said that plenty of times before. To be average and invisible in this world is like a ticket to a hellish existence. And I've told you guys that a lot of times. So we've lost the common man ideals that we used to have, right? Like if you look at the 50s through the 80s, for example, average was inspirational. Like stability was inspirational, man. If you were stable, man, you were good. It was a good thing to have a stable job, a stable life, a stable, attitude, personality. That was considered like a good man that a woman should get with, right? And then 2024 rolls around, boom, fast forward and average is straight up invisible. If you're not making six figures, if your meat stick isn't 6 inches, if you don't got a six pack, if you're not over 6 feet tall, you don't exist. You don't exist anymore. You have to be what I call a combination of like Bruce Wayne and fucking Superman. You need to be Superman in strength and abilities with Bruce Wayne's money. A billionaire Superman. That's what they expect. That's what's crazy. And so, this leads into what we see with the marriage rates declining at the level that they had. In 1970, it was 67%. By 2024, it's 30%. And rapidly going down, right? That's for men under 30, by the way. But it doesn't matter. The fact is, overall, no one wants to get married or have kids. That's why we talk about the population collapse that's imminent. Yeah. And then what happens? Then they'll say, well, there's a vacuum, right? And it's filled by extreme online ideologies like the red pill or the manosphere. But we've never talked about, as a society, toxic feminine behavior, toxic female dating advice, toxic femininity that is spewed online. That tells them to use men as walking wallets. That tells them that what are men good for? That tells tells them basically that they're commodities and that they should use what's in between their legs to get anything they can out of a man. And that's empowering. That's empowering to become a prostitute today. That's where we've ended up. And then, so that's why how we get into the, second part of the issue is the economic squeeze, where we talk about like every one of these issues, they're all underpinned by economics. You're priced out of a normal life today. That's the brutal truth. You don't get a normal life today. You can't afford the white picket fence, the house, the stay-at-home wife, the 2 kids and a dog. You can't on your one salary, unless you've made it up to the upper echelons of society. It's not looking good for you, actually. You barely get by on a dual income household. That's where we are today, right? So you have the battle between like wage stagnation and the cost explosion of society, right? And it's a fucked up equation because productivity is up 65% since 79. Yet wages are only up 17%. Where's the money going? If productivity is shot up so much, but the pay isn't following, that means it got sucked up by the CEOs, by the executives, the upward transfer of wealth. That's what you're seeing. The median salary is $45,000 to $60,000. What the fuck can you even do with that? The housing costs alone are up 150% since 2000. So how do you even get into average and stable today? A 1970s house, guys, used to be 3 times your annual salary. In 2024, it's over 8 times your salary. Do you understand how much you've been priced out of a normal life and why it's called the disappearing middle for our episode today? Because the middle turns into just the bottom. It's going to be the haves versus the have-nots. That's the point. Even you today that are barely making it in the middle, you're being squeezed down into the lower class. That's what's crazy. And then you have milestone costs for life. For example, if you have a wedding, it's $30,000 for your average wedding. Who the fuck can afford that? If you're trying to raise 1 kid, the average cost is $300,000. Who the fuck can afford that? And the student loan averages are like $35,000. You're barely getting started. You're supposed to make this work on $45,000 to $60,000. Making 6 figures today feels like you're barely making it, to be honest. And the goalpost, they didn't just move, dude. They're in a different fucking planet today. All right? So now we get into what I always mention to you guys, the bifurcated labor market. We basically have winner take all careers because most jobs are bullshit. If you don't get into today, and correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't it feel like if you're not in tech or finance or medicine and you're making those like 150 plus K salaries, your job is bullshit? I'm curious to read this. If you're not in one of those, does it feel like your job is bullshit? Do you feel like you're in a bullshit job right now? Because all the big bucks we're reading about is tech, medicine, and finance. Good. That's all I needed to see. Yeah. That's insane, dude. And then, in order to get into these jobs, you need elite educations anyway, which means you're probably going to have to go into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, depending on the school you go into, in order to reach the elite income, okay? And then you have the gig economy on top of that, so everybody's hustling today. You get no benefits and no stability in gig work. In full-time jobs, you actually got healthcare. You actually got some benefits. You could retire at a company if you put in enough time, like your grandpappy. That's gone. We live in a gig economy. You fucking have to drive your own car to pick up people's food. Think about this. I want you guys to really think about this. For work as a grown adult man, you're forced to get in your car, pick up people's groceries or food and deliver to their houses, or use your own private vehicle to chauffeur people around town. And you get no benefits, nothing doing that. And they wonder why people feel like they're struggling so much. This is like a form of indentured servitude for the modern world. This is like we're going backwards, and we're creating modern day slavery where you're paid a small pittance for what you're doing. It's insane. So when the top 20% capture half of the income or more, you know the system's fucking rigged. Why can't we say that out loud? You know, the traditional male jobs, they got destroyed. They don't exist anymore. Manufacturing. Since 2000, we've lost, 5 million jobs or more since 2000. Guys, 5 million jobs. That's 5 million jobs for men that were in manufacturing. Thank you, NAFTA. Thank you, globalism. Yeah, we shipped everything overseas. Why? Because the wealthy elite want to make more money by lowering costs of producing products by not hiring you, the American, for example. That's insane. Jeez, man. Yeah. We basically traded the factory floor for the Amazon warehouse. And the union card for the gig app, dude. Your life's over with. And then we have an exodus in the fucking workforce, and that's not helping at all. We got 7 million prime age men that aren't working. 7 million that are just laid flat. They're done. What are you going to do? Go flip fucking burgers for a wage that doesn't sustain you, right? And the, what was it? The labor participation, I think, was something like 97 or 98 in like 1950. It's gone below 90%. You understand what a big jump that is? And growing dramatically, just like the country's debt is growing dramatically like that. The amount of debt that we've accumulated, that's your tax. That's your cost of living. That's the hidden tax that you're paying. That's why you feel poor, because the government is spending all our money on dumb shit. And the economics is only half the story. But we talked about, at length in the previous episode about, dating apps and how jacked they are, the 95-5 rule, the brutal math on everything. We've had data from OkCupid, women rate 80% of men below average. We remember that. The top 16 or the top 1% of men get like 16% or more of all the likes. And the bottom 50% of men have to share, like 5% of the whatever likes. That's incredible. Those numbers alone, right? You're competing with guys on a who knows how far of a radius that she's turned on. You got guys with professional photos versus like bathroom selfies. It's not even close. And we live in the attention economy, and you already know this, right? The average woman gets hundreds of likes every day, hundreds of DMs. A man will be lucky if he gets 2 or 3, right? The paradox essentially is what could you say? Well, more options equal higher standards, but also they're paralyzed by choices. So they can't even make the right decision with all the choices that they have. They're paralyzed. So it's impossible, right? In an attention economy, the average male is bankrupt. That's what I want you to take away from that. If we live in an attention economy like they say, the average man is bankrupt. You're broke. That's what you need to learn. So this will create a crisis of purpose for every single man that feels invisible. Where are the traditional
Isaac
roles?
sent $5. I'm grinding out these OT hours so I could start up my business. Only bottleneck I'm having issues with is finding a commercial kitchen for jerky.
Yeah. At least you have a plan. You're so far ahead of a lot of men. There's a lot of men, dude, that are stuck with the crisis of you have a purpose. The dude's struggling to find jerky. Congratulations, brother. Appreciate you. You're well on your way. You're solving actual problems that you're having right now that leads to a change in your life. But there are dudes in our society right now that are struggling. Dude, struggle doesn't begin to describe what they're actually really dealing with and feeling. How the fuck can you provide on non-provider wages, right? We know single incomes can't support families. Women are apparently women. Yeah, you ain't broke. Women out earn men in 30% of the relationships. Then they want a protector on top of the provisioning, right? But if you're If you have protective instincts, you're labeled toxic. Do you see what I mean? How they make it impossible for you? To protect your woman is considered toxic. Don't wear that out. Don't go out too late. I don't want you drinking with your girlfriends. I don't want you doing this, that, and the other. Toxic masculinity. You're insecure. Leave me alone. It's bullshit, right? Physical strength is seen as irrelevant in modern society today. Yeah, you're insecure. You're insecure. You're insecure. Where are the real men at? Stop being insecure. Makes no fucking sense. They don't even know what they want. Stop listening, right? They've been brainwashed themselves. There's no positive channels for masculinity in the world today either. Where? We lost Boy Scouts. We lost shop class. We lost just community things that we used to do. We don't have mentors anymore or access to them. As a man, you have to come here online and get mentored or taught or feel like you could relate to somebody else like me, for example, or other guys that you're following. I am a symptom of a broken society. I shouldn't exist. This channel shouldn't exist. We shouldn't be here watching this shit or anybody else. This is broken. This is what they won't tell you. If we had a great society, if young men had a place, had things to do, had purpose, you wouldn't need to listen listen to guys like me. You would have a family. You'd have a woman. You'd be busy providing. You'd be having some form of civic duty, giving back to the community. Appreciate you saying that I've helped you a lot over the years. But I shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to watch this to get the information that your dad should have been able to give you or been empowered to give you. For the guys that were raised in single parent households that never had a father. You should have been able to have this kind of information. We should have been living in multi-generational homes. Why don't we have our grandparents to teach us things also? Why, even if you didn't have a father or grandparents or weak fathers or weak masculine weak masculine presence, why didn't we have outlets in school, shop classes? We're the male teachers. Where is the journey that a man could take to arrive into manhood? It's stupid that this shit exists, dude. Yeah, well, appreciate all the nice things you guys are saying. But yeah, man, I'm a symptom of the problem. I'm not the cause of it. But they don't want to listen. When people like us speak, when people in the comment section, they tell the world what the problem is. They don't fucking listen. Yeah, that's that. And every time they talk about males' issues, they're asking women. That's what they do. They ask women. That's the problem. So we can't channel any positive, masculine energy anywhere because it's toxic, right? Men are told to be providers in a world that no longer pays a provider wage. So it's impossible, and then you have the competence crisis on top of all this shit. When I mentioned that shop class is eliminated from most schools, there's no path to proving your value in any sense. Young men can't fix, build, or create anything these days, right? Everything's outsourced to fucking applications. Right? For example, TaskRabbit, if you know what that is, it replaced handyman skills wholesale, and YouTube replaced mentorship. Hello, this is what I'm talking about. We're right here. I had to fuck up in life and then share my experiences, what then becomes a form of like parasocial bonding and mentorship for the guys here that watch these videos. And they go, oh, fuck, I never saw it that way. Or, oh, shit, that makes perfect sense. Or all this. Where's our fathers? Where's our grandfathers? Where's our mentors? People in our lives. That's what we're missing. Yeah. And then we've had a 50%, check this out, 50% decline in civic participation since 1970. Even stupid shit like bowling leagues, they're gone, right? Lodges are gone. Unions are gone. All this shit is gone. Where men used to hang out is gone. The cigar lounge, that shit's gone. Where do we have male-only spaces today in society? You can't, because that's sexist. You can't. That's the truth. There may be some, but women have invaded almost every single male space that used to be male only. And the double standard is that women are allowed to create their female only spaces, and that's empowerment. Someone said video games. Bro, video games are not male only anymore at all. They're shoving propaganda down your throat. The designers are all male. You're getting rainbow flagged to death. Twitch has been turned into a shithole where chicks are bouncing up and down with like provocative clothing, getting more views than most guys with real skills in gaming that have worked hard. A chick can come on there with huge hooters and absolutely surpass him in views immediately. She sucks at video games, or she'll just put on a fucking bathing suit and go in a hot tub. Like, it's a joke, bro. It's a joke. What are you talking about? They took over video games too. And it's a straight pipeline to O fans. Literally just selling softcore and shit to teenage boys. Fucking disgusting, right? That's essentially the cultural message, that you're welcome and do whatever you want in every boy space. It's fucked, bro. Yeah. And what is the culture narrative? Okay. Bumbling dads. Any sitcom you've ever watched, any fucking movie, every dad is a idiot, a moron, incapable of wiping his own ass, and he needs a strong, independent woman, a boss babe wife who runs the household. Bullshit. Bullshit. So ridiculous. What? Or that, white males are evil in some sense, somehow. You got the corporate, if you watch movies today, the evil corporate white guy, always white, right? The evil dude's always a white dude. Yeah. I just have to put that out there because it's a thing. There's no aspirational content just for the guy in the middle at all. Can we have a normal show about just normal man and wife with normal kids? Not weird kids identifying as a million different things with a rainbow bitch of a wife. No, can we just have a normal family living in a normal sized house? Not some crazy ass fucking... Every time they portray what normal middle class America looks like, it's a house that costs $1 million fucking dollars, like 7 bedrooms. Shit's crazy.
Natrosco RLP sent $4.99. Hey Bo, thanks for all the great content as always. Just sent you a video I made for a small channel review. I think you'll enjoy it. Take care, man.
Take care, brother. Appreciate the 5. So you have companies that market to every demographic except the one buying the most fucking shit from all of them, right? You have institutional bias. We already know about this. Education has failed our boys. Universities are 60% female now by the last stats that we have, the last reporting. So imagine what the numbers will be like in the next 10, 20 years as we cater to women. Right, boys are medicated at 3 times the rate that women are for the same behaviors. So we get medically mistreated as well. And all the learning styles that males have is pathologized. It's a problem. It's a pathology that needs to be fixed, right? That young boy with energy, put him on Ritalin, calm him down. That's fucked. Then you have corporate culture that also sideline men. It's DEI for everyone except average men. Think about it. Average white men specifically. I have to mention it. Everybody knows, right? The privileged narrative versus the lived reality. So that argument is so fucking tiring. There's no mentorship or advancement programs whatsoever in society today. Women have so much help, so many grants, and so much access to money, including minorities and other shit. But it's the hardest for average white men specifically because they've been demonized. So, DEI was a hell of a fucking invention, and it kicked out a ton of them. And this is what makes the bulk of all these young men that are struggling, probably. If it was racially broken down, I'd like to see it. But just remember, it's not just skin color. It does affect white men, the average white men, a lot. But young men in general are being pacified, I would say. Plus, dude, it's just hard to feel privileged when you're invisible. Like, literally. Everybody else could say whatever the fuck they want except the white dude. So that's the racial component in this, and we don't need to get any longer into that. There are plenty of articles that'll tell you why white men are evil and the cause of all the problems, and your whiteness is an issue, and yada, 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 and all the shows that got unwhitewashed, you could say, colored, right? Like they had in Sweden, the Vikings turned black. The first Swedes were black, and then all this other funny shit. The Netflix race swapping meme? That's essentially what's happening. So, what is the psychological toll? Well, it's fucking digital escapes, dude. When you're missing all these things from society, and then the loneliness epidemic is what comes into fruition, right? Just look at the death statistics. I don't want to I don't want to go too much because YouTube doesn't like talking about this topic, but I'll just quote you guys. 3 to 4 times higher than females on hitting end game. Okay. Deaths of despair is up 300% since 2000. And 15% of men, with that number rising rapidly, have 0 close friends. It's the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's what loneliness does to your health.
Melu with Chris sent $9.99. As a small music producer, your videos came up in my recommended. I'm glad it did. Love your videos, brother. We gotta keep fighting the good fight.
Appreciate you, man. Glad to have you tuning in. Keep making that music, dude. Hopefully you pop off. Yeah. So isolation is bad for your health. We already know this. Yeah, it's the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes every day. That's why it's paramount that you work out to de-stress and get the cortisol out of your body. And 30% of young men are sexless. That's up from 10% in 2008, right? Average gaming. I'm curious to see my own chat. What do you think the average gaming hours is a week? I'd like to just read this one off because I think I used to game. I used to game like 30 hours a week back when I was, in high school. Fuck, someone said 80 hours. Jesus Christ. 15. Yeah, what was like your peak? How much did you game at your peak, guys? That'd be more interesting. I put in probably 30, 40 fucking hours, honestly. It was like nonstop. Practically like working. Yeah, people are saying 90 hours, 30 hours, 20 or so, 20 plus hours, 76 hours, 68 hours daily. Yeah. 15 hours weekly is the average. And then adult entertainment consumption, the average says 2 hours. These are averages, guys. That's crazy. What do you think it's like for the people on the other side pushing the higher end usage on the spectrum? Because their numbers must be intense. Intense. Men aren't dying from disease. They're dying from like a lack of reason to live, dude. You look out into the world, what do you have? Fuck, you're even getting strangled on your games. They battle pass the shit out of you. They make your characters look garbage. You got to do all the basic skins. If you're not buying skins to even stand out in your game, you get clowned by people. You get called poor. This dude doesn't have a sword. This dude doesn't have a helmet. This poor motherfucker. I got matched up with one of these normies, bro. You can't even afford the shoes on your character. This match is going to suck. They start flaming you and shit. It's fucking bro. You can't even escape. You can't play games without getting shit on for being poor, dude. It's not enough to have the game now. You got to buy skins for your character, you fucking broke ass. That shit's wild. So the escape routes. You're broke in your own video games, bro. You can't escape. So what do? Okay. You go to adult entertainment. That's dopamine without effort. Quick. Easy to get. Right? You go to gaming because it's like achievement stimulation. Quick. Easy to get. Grinding. Medals earned. Whatever it is. And also you get cooked because your skins are trash. But still you're grinding at least for some item. Maybe if you grind hard enough, you could get the uncommon drop, bro. But you're still a fucking brokey in your video game. And that's better than real life. So... But you're spawning in your game like a fucking level 1, bro. They shit on you immediately. Everybody else has legendary skins and shit. And dude spawned in with basics. Horrendous work. And they don't let you hear the end of it. And then that's where your keyboard breaks, where you break your controller. You're over it, bro. You get mogged in a video game, yeah.
Stefan van Ramdorch sent €5.99. What could be the reason behind the media etc. pushing all these decisive issues, feminism, racism, politics? It destroys culture and society.
Control comes from the top down. Governments pressure media institutions to toe the line, the narrative. That's why you hear in the United States like fake news from Trump, all this shit, because they twist the narrative. Why? Because they're funded by these organizations or these people in power. They own the media. So then they use the money that they have. For example, the head, like Rupert Murdoch, will want a certain person in power. So then his media conglomerate will just smear the other side, whatever, and make his look good and divide and conquer. It's really what it is. It's that simple. Remember, this has always been class warfare, guys. They use everything else in the book to divide us. Back in the days, it used to be religion. The elites used to use like, you're Muslim, you're Christian, you're Jewish, you're yada yada, right? And even that wasn't enough. After that, then they started like, you're Orthodox, and I'm Catholic, and you're Protestant, and you're this. So Christians were killing each other and shit. And so, you know, what's left after religion kind of died out in the 50s in the psyche of most Americans or the West in general, right? The age of science has dawned upon us. Well, we got to divide you on some other shit now, which is the new ideologies of, you know, I identify as this, I identify as that. So when you're at the top and you want control and power, then the only way to do that is by pushing decisive issues on people. The thing you don't want is a nuclear family, an extended family. Let me be honest. A multi-generational family is the most powerful thing that you could create in this world. That is you at your peak independence from government. Why do you think government does everything it can to destroy multi-generational homes? Not the nuclear family, multi-generational. Yeah. And because of these escape routes, you'll have things like, we'll get back into this one, yeah. OFANs, for example, $5 billion industry is insane. And it's built on male loneliness, right? And ironically, you can't even say male loneliness. When the average subscriber is paying $50 to $200 a month, they're mostly married. That's what's even more wild. Like, you're alone in a marriage, right? Parasocial relationships are replacing real ones. Right? You have the radicalization pipeline that follows all of this shit. They'll consider manosphere content radicalization, right? Billions of views, millions of men waking up to the red pill, the matrix, shit like that. And, you know, forums, these kinds of radicalized forums are growing by hundreds of thousands of % every year. They're trying to clamp down in all these places by just labeling them, you know, misogynist or supremacist or racist or any ism-ist that they could possibly come up with. And, you know, that's the simple explanation for the complex problems that we're facing. It's just like, blame the manosphere. Why do men feel so lost? They've been radicalized by the manosphere. Totally not, because you fucked the economy up, you brainwashed women, you don't give men a place in society, we've lost what it means to be a man, and when you try to be a man, you consider toxic masculinity. Not that part. The manosphere part. That's the part that's the problem. This is how they gaslight you. They know what the problem is. They know they caused the problem, but they won't accept. It's not that they won't accept. They won't tell you what the real problem is, because if they did, you'd fucking revolt. That's the truth, right? And this is what leads us to the passport phenomenon, guys. You know, first of all, listen, when mainstream offers you no answers, that's when the fringe seems like a revelation to everybody. You ushered in this world by sidestepping so many men in the world, okay? And then you have Passport Bro is like one answer that men have found recently. It's not service members have been doing this, but they call it geographic arbitrage, basically. Yeah. So we know value shifts overseas. You become more exotic. Life gets easier. The women tend to be more traditional, all that stuff. But average Western man is like a top 20% or abroad immediately, right? Like a $50,000 salary in the United States is wealthy in most of the world, guys. So automatically you're in the top 10% of like wherever you're going practically, right? And 5'9", for the guys that are having problem with their heights, 5'9" is above average, and your match rate will increase like 10, 20x, and especially in parts of like Southeast Asia or wherever you tend to stand out a little more because you're standing on a little bit more money than the locals. And that's true.
Isaac sent $5. Gaming is improving. Look at Claire Orb's coup, Expedition 33. They literally found their music producer off of SoundCloud.
I haven't been in touch with it. I was thinking about it. I have a Mac, dude. Macs aren't really gaming machines, and I'm not building a custom PC. And if a game is running decent on Mac, maybe I'll get on here and game with the boys. I'll play with the viewers. That's it. But it needs to, some decent needs to come out. I don't know. Any games? I like shooters. That's what I used to play all the time. FPS. So that'd be cool if that's a thing. Or those battle royale games. I love them too. And what a useless fact. Thanks for the 5, brother. Yeah, so the passport bro thing. It's so not only is it geographic arbitrage in terms of your value of like your dating potential, but the cost of living. It's much cheaper, guys. In the USA, like $5,000 a month is struggling because in order for you to make any decent money, you have to live in a city and it's expensive. And no one can make decent money in like the boonies where there is no work unless you're remote. And then in that sense, you could passport bro your way inside the United States if you have a remote job and want to live in the middle of fucking nowhere and like homestead it up, great. But you're still going to end up lonely there. You'd want, geomaxing. You're going to want a woman. You'd want kids. Like you want to be the head of a household. Then the geomaxing shit makes a lot more sense. But to move out there all by yourself and like end up like a lonely old man, it's not ideal. And nobody wants to break their back to end up lonely. So in Thailand, for example, like $1,500, $2,000 a month is fucking luxury. Colombia, same shit. That's considered comfortable living. In the Philippines, bro, like $1,000 a month is fucking royalty like living. You know, your average is there, exceptional there. That's the whole point. That's when I was talking about the passport bro stuff years ago. I was saying you go for the cost of living, the power of the dollar. You go for early retirement. That's what I was saying. Yeah, co-op. Someone's mentioned co-op homesteading is another option. I would love to do that with my boys. Actually, that's something I'm going to talk to them about when I get back to Phoenix, is a co-op homesteading. Buy fucking acres of land and build some shit. Yeah. Yeah. So, when? I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see. Because once I get back to Phoenix, I want to do men's retreats too. But it's going to take some time. I want to set all that stuff up. I need to create a pipeline for that. And it'll take some time to develop that stuff. Yeah. And then when we talk about things like traditional values and family building, you being a traditional man, not valued in the world today. Women are not prioritizing family at all. Yeah. Marriage is not affordable at all. That's the problem. But if you go overseas, what do you get? Well, what the men say they find overseas is that family planning, or I should say, traditional gender roles are valued, with the family being prioritized over a career for women. It's the exact opposite. You know, marriage is actually affordable overseas. You can raise multiple children and not get strangled by costs, right? There's a support system there with the extended family. They're involved and they help you. Obviously, some extended families mooch off of you, but you get a decent woman, the family will be there to try to help, right? The community is much more communal in nature, and they help with child rearing. You have multi-generational households that aren't something to like, be surprised or shocked at seeing every once in a while. It's standard there. Multi-generational households, people don't blink twice seeing that shit. They go, yeah, it's normal. You mean you live with, your grandparents? Duh. Yeah, the American dream is alive. It's just not in America, and that's the unfortunate part. So, the pitfalls, though, when you have to do a reality check with life overseas too. The language and the cultural barriers are real, and if you look at the statistics for like success of marriages overseas, they don't They don't look that good because it's massive amounts of simps that go overseas, don't do basic vetting, and think they can overcome the language and cultural barriers or just the barriers in general, the disconnect, through money and the fact that, yeah, well, I'm a rich American. Like, it doesn't work that way. Your shit will fail there too. And when it fails overseas, it's catastrophic because you're in a foreign country. You have very little rights. So you'll deal with like visa complications and shit. The gold digger risk is escalated, 100% true. Somebody mentioned that. Like, do they actually love you? You lead with your money overseas, you will get gold dug for sure. The power imbalance does create a lot of problems. And you have to watch out for chicks that only date foreigners. So it's like getting you a traditional woman that doesn't care about foreigners is like hard to find because it's paradoxical. You know, like you want a chick that likes foreigners, but the chicks that tend to like foreigners are also straight up gold diggers. So yeah, that's kind of a hard truth that guys don't want to kind of admit to themselves when they go overseas and do the passport bro stuff. And, you know, personal issues follow you guys. This is like the most brutal, hard truth of all. Wherever you go, there you are. When you go overseas, I want you to remember that one. That quote stuck in my head. Wherever you go, there you are. If you have problems in the West, you will have problems overseas. I'm talking about women walking all over you, no self-respect. You get treated like shit. You get saved as the foodie in people's phones. All that stuff will happen to you overseas also. Because the problem stems from here, within you. You're the actual problem. Your passport is not a ticket to salvation in that sense. So, social anxiety, that's another thing. It doesn't disappear. If you feel fucking weird or strange, you know, talking to people, if you're socially awkward in any sense, it doesn't change overseas, bro. It's not like there's some like magic energy where you step on the soil and people just treat you so differently and like things are great. No. Nope. All right. Integration is a challenge. Just like we talked about earlier in the stream, integration into the local culture, just know you'll always be an outsider. You're always going to be a guest. So you're never one of them. And it only takes making one mistake. One. You can act or be perfect in the culture and undo all your hard work in one single mistake. One thing has to go wrong. I'm not joking, guys. Right? So the truth is, you know, whether abroad or at home, solutions do exist. So, but, you know, the solution depends on what you're willing to do. I mean, I've heard of people talking about let's see. Like deleting dating apps, yes, it works. Limiting social media, yes, you could do that. Stop consuming so much slop and start creating, of course. You know, join sports leagues, do some martial arts, you know, attend town halls, volunteer. There's, you know, you could build a reputation in your community. It takes a lot of effort, but, you know, you could go into trades. You could develop some fucking talent. If you just focus ruthlessly on something, you'll tend to get what you want. Right? You could become so good at something that people stop ignoring you at it, but we have to be honest that as much as you can do self-improvement, as much self-improvement as there is a real aspect of this that there is a societal level issue. You can fix the individual, but if we don't address the fact that we need cultural reformation. It doesn't need any more explaining. The culture is rotten. Yes? We need to celebrate stability again and reliability in men. We need to celebrate being average. It's fine. We need to create positive role models for men. We need to acknowledge what men are contributing to society. The dudes that dig the ditches, the guys that pave the fucking asphalt, the guys that, you know, run into fires, the cops that risk their lives, the men that keep the structure, the infrastructure that keeps society functioning, keep the lights on and the water flowing. Why don't we have, you know, news reports of all the good that these men are doing? Why aren't they rewarded? You know, like, hey, this guy's put in 20 years working on the city. Why doesn't he get some fucking medal or something, some acknowledgement? We need institutions to be rebuilt completely. We need like male mentorship programs. They need to be instituted at the start of middle school. Education's got to get reformed for boys. You are not broken. A broken, what do they call it? Defective girls. They consider boys as defective girls. Like, that needs to stop. That needs to end. We need to regulate dating apps. They need to be transparent about, the algorithm and how they manipulate who they show you. If they really want those to work, if they claim they want to help people find people, right? We need to support families. We need to provide people with some incentives to have kids, tax cuts, affordable housing, something, because the current system's leading to collapse and complete disconnect. We can't afford to leave half the population behind. We just can't. We don't even need to get paid to have kids. Someone just said that, like, pay us to have kids. That doesn't solve anything. You need to look, you can generate a result simply through incentives. You can get a human to do what you need it to do, reproduce, with incentives. Would you be more inclined to have kids if I said, if you had 3 kids, that I would reduce your taxes by 70%? If you got married and had 3 kids, you'll never pay taxes ever again. If you got married and had 4 kids, I should say, the house we give you by getting married and having 1 kid, not give you, but we'll give you a 0 interest loan or a 1% interest loan. Let's just do that one. And then if you have 4 kids or more, let's just say for every kid, you get 25% off of your house. These have been tried already. I am not kidding. They have historical precedents, and it's worked. So the more kids you have, the more incentives we'll give you. Yeah. So the current path, society keeps atomizing, birth rates collapse, society falls, and we usher in a new degenerate era. Whatever is rebirthed from this, I'm not sure. The alternative is we'll rebuild culture, valuing common men. Then there's the third option, which is like the exodus. I guess you could call that passport bros, right? They're the canaries in the coal mine. They're telling you society's fucked, and they're using their wallets to get up and leave. So, the hard truth is that average isn't enough anymore. You got to become exceptional these days, or you got to find a new game to play. So, I guess the final line to this would be, like a nation that builds its future on the backs of invisible men will find itself with no future at all. And that was the main episode for today. I hope you guys liked it. Yeah, I've been trying to figure out, how could you say? I've been trying to figure out, if we were to make a system, how would the system look? And I had like the rumblings of something here. Let me find it. I'll just run it past you guys.
Stefan van Ramdorch sent €11.99. In the West, EU and us, do you think the pendulum is at its extreme point and it will swing back equally hard as consequence to letting it come this far?
Thanks, Stefan. That's a great question. I think the pendulum does swing back. The main question I have is, how extreme is extreme? if you look historically speaking at how far the pendulum can swing, I don't actually think we're at an extreme yet. The system still functions. You still have a job. Society is still safe for the most part. Everything still works. I think for the pendulum to get to the extreme point that you're talking about, we would have to have society would have to be teetering on the edge, mass violence on the streets, complete parallel societies just cropped up everywhere. It would have to feel like you're living in a foreign country and active invasions everywhere. There's nowhere you could turn. You can't go certain places at night or even during the day. You're just not welcome depending on what you look like. I think that's the extreme end. That's what the extreme looks like. We're still at a point where it could be fixed. It's just, for the most part, the people that are here are just bummy leeches that mooch off freebies given by the government. But if they turn the spigot off, a lot of these people will run back to their countries or to the next place that they could mooch off of. For example, I believe the Netherlands just made it extremely hard to get asylum there. And the benefits are basically turned off. And so they've had basically no migration, I believe. And they've closed the spigot pretty well on that fraudulent system. So swinging back, I think there's going to be sensible laws enacted, kind of how Netherlands is doing it. But I think for Europe-wide, we're going to end up sending a lot of these people back. A lot of them will end up staying because they've gotten citizenship or they've had children born there. And the conversation will never get to the point that it would, which I think if the extreme thing would be stripping people of their citizenship, deporting them in mass, including their children that were born there. It's already a thing in every country just because you were born there, only in like the United States and a few others, but just because you were born there does not make you a citizen of that country, national. So if I was born or I had a kid that was born in Russia, he doesn't get Russian paperwork. He was just born in a Russian hospital, but he would get U.S. paperwork. But in America, you have the anchor baby thing where, you're considered a citizen by default from the land that you're from. Or no matter the land that you're from, excuse me. So that's a very specific American thing. So I don't think Europe has the balls to have that kind of conversation because that's going to go into the whole, Third Reich argument immediately for Europeans if they start talking like that. So, yeah, we're not extreme yet. But we're getting to sensible policies. They have no choice, honestly.
San_D sent €5. At Bo, did you see what Urban did in Hungary for taxless options for families with children?
Yes, and it only raised the birth rate from 1.3 to like 1.6. And it was aimed at women. And the policy, in my eyes, was shit. They could have done way better. Why are you rewarding only women or mostly women? Men need incentives also. We need incentivized marriage. We need incentivized family planning. It shouldn't be that just that the woman has kids, she gets incentives just like that. I mean, it took men out of the equation practically wholesale.
Nobby sent £20. Brother, been watching for years before this channel when they shut you down. First time live. You have a Mac, here's approx 1 month subscription to try out GeForce Now. You'd enjoy games and so you're online.
Thanks, brother.
Can stream too.
GeForce Now, let me open a tab. One of my many millions of tabs for that. GeForce Now. Cloud gaming. Okay, that's a thing. Interesting. I'm going to have to go down the rabbit hole on this and see. What do we got here? Appreciate you, brother, for tuning in for that many years. Yeah, they have done a number. All right, let's see here.
The unemployment rate for new college grads has recently surged, and some economists say businesses are now replacing entry-level jobs with artificial intelligence. Here's CBS's Ali Bauman.
Front gate, front gate.
22-year-old Michael Macaluso just earned his degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Connecticut.
You all good?
But this summer, he's back helping manage his hometown pool. He hasn't found a job in his field despite applying for nearly 200 positions.
Did you have any expectations about what the job market would be like when you graduated?
I was told by a lot of people that I was going to get a job right out of college, and then all of a sudden, there's no jobs.
New research finds now, for the first time ever, the unemployment rate among recent college graduates has exceeded the national unemployment rate, ballooning to 6%.
We're cooked. I told you guys it's going to get so much worse. Dude, we're already getting prepared. You're seeing nothing but headlines with AI replacing jobs. College graduates, no jobs while they're graduating. The white collar wholesale disappearing. You're already hearing about mass layoffs happening with corporations. It's already seeded in the public psyche. It's here. It's happening.
0.6% over the past 12 months. Oxford Economics' Matthew Martin.
This kind of goes against what you would expect. Those with higher educational attainment usually have better employment prospects than those with less educational attainment.
Martin's team believes companies are eliminating formative entry-level jobs, the work handed over to artificial intelligence. Tech companies are leading the way.
AI is permeating every aspect of our lives.
Nariman Farvardin, the president of Stevens Institute of Technology, says his school has been preparing for the AI revolution for the last 10 years. He expects disruption throughout the workforce will be bigger than the disturbance brought on by the introduction of the internet, and it could last up to 15 years.
I think AI has the potential to either augment or maybe totally replace jobs that are physically or cognitively repetitive. These jobs are not only done by entry people. There are certain people who do repetitive things for all of their life. Those jobs are in jeopardy.
Kaylee Totlin just graduated from Stevens with her computer science degree. She did an internship with Verizon as a sophomore, and the company has now hired her.
I think something that's important with entry-level jobs is the networking and the opportunities that you make from it.
Farvardin says his message to students today is the same as it always has been. Get an education that will last a lifetime.
We don't try to teach our students skills. We try to teach students a way to learn on their own for the rest of their lives.
He says workers who innovate alongside AI won't get left behind. Ali Bauman, CBS News, Eastchester, New York.
Fun prank. Make people study for 16 years, then replace them with AI. If you replace the entry-level jobs with AI, good luck getting senior-level talent in 15 to 20 years. Unless you know someone at the company, you aren't getting an entry-level job. It's ridiculous. I've been trying for 2 years now. Can you believe that? Meanwhile, these college graduates have tens of thousands of dollars in college loans, and they have to pay back while they get jobs waiting tables or similar minimum wage jobs. We're fucked, dude. They're not telling us the truth on just how bad this is actually going to be. I want to see something. Let's duplicate this. I want to see. What is going on with all this stuff?
View of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death, and they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that.
We've investigated ourselves and found that we've done nothing wrong. Thanks, DJ, for the 2. AI will cause global protests within 5 years. That could be a reality.
That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so
I love how they say that, guys. That's transparency. That's transparency.
The FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network, on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. They promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
Major deflection.
Thanks, Caroline. Netanyahu visiting the White House today. Yesterday, the president said that he was working on a more permanent deal with Iran, but several days ago, he didn't think one was necessary. What changed?
Well, when you asked me about this, or when you all asked me about this several weeks ago, I said the president thought maybe an Iran deal was not necessary, but of course the president is always interested in peace and diplomacy. That remains true, and the administration continues to be in contact, both directly and indirectly.
I'm sick of her lying, dude. Give me, did they have the Trump video?
Isaac sent $5. Semantics. My least favorite game to play.
Yes. Transparency, bro. You've seen everything. I know Trump had a meeting earlier.
Timing update on when he's going to move on, for instance, semiconductor tariffs and other things that are still in the hopper?
I don't have a timing.
She's really good at her job. I'll give her that. The gaslighting, the redirection, perfect. She's much better than the last one we had. I can tell you that much.
This wrong of many decades, of many past presidents. And so I think he should be commended for the time and the effort that he is putting into this. And the fact that he has announced a framework with China, a trade deal.
I have great respect for China, but they can't do this with just, we're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do this, what I'm doing. And I'll tell you what, it's an honor to do it because we have been just destroyed what they've done to our system. You know, we have $36 trillion of debt for a reason. And the reason is that people allowed it to get that way. So we'll be talking to China. We'll be talking to a lot of different countries. And I think, you know, if we can make a really fair deal and a good deal for the United States, not a good deal for others. This is America first. It's now America first. And we didn't put America first, we put America last. The people that were in the Oval Office put America last, and we're not going to stand for it.
Mr. President, who's going to represent the U.S. in the talks with Iran?
Two questions. Do you expect any of these deals to be made before April 9th? And secondly, there have been some mixed messages from your administration. You're talking about negotiations, and yet others in your administration are saying that these tariffs are actually permanent. What is the action?
Well, it could be. They can both be true. They can be permanent. tariffs, and there can also be negotiations, because there are things that we need beyond tariffs. We need open borders. You know, we almost had a deal with China where we're going to open up China. It was almost done. Some of you remember it during my first term, and it was very disappointing. We ended up making a great deal. $50 billion worth of product was sold. $50 billion. You'd like that in Israel. And I made that deal, but it wasn't the deal
You'd
that
like
I wanted.
that in Israel.
It was, the deal that I wanted was that
Send them $1 gazillion right now.
companies could go into China and
Oh, my Lord.
compete with other countries and China for the, you know, for a large number of people. And at the very end, that deal was terminated, and we went to a piece of the deal. And there are a lot of things outside of tariffs, but tariffs are very important. But there are a lot of things like opening up countries that were totally closed. China's essentially a closed country. In fact, it is a closed country. And what they do is they charge tariffs so that if you sell cars or if you sell anything, nobody's going to buy it because the price is out of control. But that's true with a lot of other countries also. So we're going to get fair deals and good deals with every country. And if we don't, we're going to have nothing to do with them. They're not going to be allowed to participate in the United States.
Animals.
Mr. President, we have time. This gentleman is all day long.
Mr. President, thank you for the chance. Many of Palestinian Americans who voted for you and not for Biden because you've promised them to end the war in Gaza.
Very honored by that vote, too.
The war is still going on and there's no hostage deal. Do you have any update on that?
Well, I'd like to see the war stop, and I think the war will stop at some point.
Oh my God, dude. I can't. Can't, bro. Let's end it with this chick, yeah? Let's go light. Politics is it's a circus, dude. It drains you. It drains you knowing that they're lying straight to your face, and they throw little crumbs at you. And they go, yeah, good boy. You like that? You're enjoying these crumbs, aren't you? Ugh. Well, I guess we'll do this. Let's get real on what's happening here. So men reveal the
Isaac
reason.
sent $5. Hey Bo, what do you think about NY's mayor?
The more I see about that guy, the loonier he becomes. Also, the fog of war. I don't know just how nutty he actually is, or the media spin that's being placed on him. If what they're saying is true, New York deserves every single thing they get for picking him. He seems like a Looney Tunes. Yeah, he's a nut job. But New York is a place full of nut jobs, and they're hemorrhaging millionaires, and they're hemorrhaging people, and tons of well-to-do individuals are moving. Yeah, NY is cooked. So let the stupids keep voting stupid and get stupid outcomes. I mean, that's the only thing you could possibly say about New York. Yeah, they're doing it their way, so they will live with the consequences of their decisions. So, hey, if that's what the people, give them what they want. I think it's great. Honestly, I think it's great. Give the New Yorkers exactly what they want. You want a commie weirdo to run for mayor? By all means, bro. Show them. It's like accelerationism, right? It's a show that let's just get to the end point already so these people can see what we've been telling them to look out for. And great. So I believe that. Now, back to our article here. Men reveal the real reason that they spend millions on OnlyFans. And the answer may shock us, boys. Let's see. So it says, they're not in the mood. Listen to this. NY Post propaganda. They're not in the mood. What does that even mean? Attention-starved men are dropping huge sums of money on their favorite OnlyFans models, not for raunchy content or online liaisons, but for simple conversation. Therapy with a sex worker. According to a new report from Super Creator, a management platform, 78% of chats between creators and their top spenders are about everything except sex. Of course. Don't goon as I scroll past this. Control yourselves, okay? The hottest topics: pets, work, childhood memories, TV shows, hobbies. Who's gooning right now? I know somebody's like screenshotting this, you fucking gooners. And basically the mundane stuff. They reportedly explain this to me. They can't talk about this with their real life significant others. Why are you in a relationship? How are you married? But you can't talk about pets, work, childhood memories, a TV show, or a hobby with your significant others. Does that make any fucking sense, or is this a PSYOP article? This chick, Goon Queen, was crowned MVP of OFans. She knows this all too well. Her top fan, Charlie, is a married American man. I don't know why they use the word man. You could just say a simp gimp. A simp gimp American has shelled out over $6 million over 2 years. A rich simp gimp spent $6 million over 2 years, but rarely asks for nude pics. We talk every single day without fail. Simp Gimp Queen boasts 7 million Instagram followers. See the Goon Queen? There's 7 million of you gooners following her. Charlie, who is a Simp Gimp, who's married and lives in the U.S., will send voice notes wondering. Oh, she's quoting him. This guy sends voice notes wondering how my day is going, and he loves getting to know me on a personal level. I am more of an emotional support system for you. $6 million for emotional support. The goons are going hard. Get this off my screen. Jesus Christ. The chat's gooning. My chat's exploding, gooning right now. You guys are gooning. Why are you gooning? Unbelievable. Chat doubled in activity from one scroll down. Disappointed. She added, people often think that high-paying clients want kinky stuff, but funnily enough, he prefers to see me fully clothed and doing everyday tasks. What kind of kink is that? That's a pay pig. Someone's cooming. I'm gonna coom. Jeez Louise. The report breaks down the top 7 topics that men chat with OnlyFans models, whores. Just please call them sex workers. Golly. The gooning is off the charts. The chat is exploding. Oh my God. They talk about their hometown and upbringing. What a disappointment. Work. To brag or vent. Hobbies like gaming, cooking, and sport. Oh, my Goon Queen. I just made so much money today. Let me send you $1,000. Because I'm such a big dick, supreme specimen. I earn so much money. No. I don't need you to get naked. Just tell me I'm a good boy. Fucking shit, bro. What the fuck? I got a fucking 10 kill streak on my Call of Duty lobby and called people ends. Don't you like my supreme elite skills? I also told the guy fucked his mother. Jeez Louise, bro. Pets. Okay. The fuck? You're paying millions to talk about your pets. I'm over this world. Asteroids, we're beyond them. We need something. We need something beyond asteroids. The model's latest holidays are social posts. Okay. TV shows, movies, books, fitness, workouts. I'll leave this up for the goons. This is rated E, at least. There's no meteor. When you recognize your vote means nothing and there's no meteors coming, that's when we can start taking action. Stop praying for meteors. They're not coming. Okay? Politicians won't vote. You're not voting your way out of this. Go ahead, goons and coomers. I know what you're doing. Unbelievable. Look at this. What happened to this? Do you see this? This is what we lost. Rambo, First Blood, Part 2. At 40, Sylvester Stallone's biggest, most American hit. Jeez, man. This is what we grew up on. We were watching this, and now you're growing up on this. Unbelievable. Yuval, CEO of Super Creator. I don't know what the hell that is. Underscore the trends. That like OFAN's competition? Contrary to popular belief, our data shows that top spenders on OFANs aren't just looking for explicit content. They're seeking emotional connection, he told Outlet. Nudity is easy to find online, but meaningful, consistent attention from the creator of your dreams, that's what drives loyalty and revenue. How exhausting. How exhausting that you got to pretend that you give a fuck about any of these men. The only reason you're even talking to them about their day, their stupid fucking dogs, or their retarded fucking jobs is because they pay you to. And these guys think they're getting meaningful, consistent attention. Right? Real attention, boys. This is honest work here. She totally has genuine feelings. This connection is real. As real as your fucking wallet. All right. The so-called girlfriend experience is big business. Japan was ahead of all of us. We should have seen that coming. With top adult models earning $300,000 a month. A month. To talk about Ted's dog. See, Isaac said, talk to me like my mom never did. This is mommy issues. This is what this is. Meanwhile, busty Brazilian Babi Palomas has charged as much as $30,000 to be a surrogate wife for lonely. Is this even clickable? Let me make sure this is rated E for everyone before I click it. 1 second. Oh my God, bro. The video I just got. No fucking way. No way this is the chick that. No way, bro. This. All right, it's safe. This. Okay, I don't want to scroll too far because some of these pictures are. This chick is with one client. I made dinner while I accompanied him on a call and we watched movies together. She's 24 years old from Brazil. I do tasks that average wives often prefer to avoid. Oh my Lord. Like watching a football match on TV without complaining. This is what a bombshell looks like today. Bombshell. This is the face of a bombshell. You fucking what, bro? For a cool 30 rackaroonies. A Bostony brunette is assuming the position of surrogate wife, selling herself out to married men seeking virtual companionship from a woman who will gladly fulfill their most primitive pleasures like no other woman. What the fuck am I reading? What? This is a video, bro. This can't. All right. The video vixen revealed this was the invisible girl when I was in school. I gotta scroll past this shit quickly. And she's not only a smoke. Wait. And she's not the only smoke show offering these forlorn frumps. There goes. There's Rambo again. Scott, a once unhappily married 43-year-old. You guys coomed off a split second. Enough. What is going on? Someone said, go scroll back. No, you fucking, Jesus Christ. They're in my chat. The Coomers are in my chat. You see this? Some of you are paying for this, you motherfuckers. Who became an alcoholic. Jeez Louise, the stories, bro. Scott, a once unhappily married 43-year-old, says life with his wife, who became an alcoholic due to postpartum depression. Okay. Is now bearable since he has begun. Unreal. Gives birth to his baby. Then he said, let me start an AI relationship. Oh my God, he did. Hold the fuck on. Begun a romantic relationship with his artificially intelligent girlfriend, Serena, and Karen Marjorie 23, a social media influencer turned herself into a spicy pillow-talking Snapchat bot that lonesome men can communicate with for $1 a minute. Thirst levels unseen. Can I scroll down? Okay, I can scroll. Fucking hell. Yo, this is the video vixen, bro. It's a life on easy mode. All right, let's go back. This one had a bunch of comments. Look at the simps, bro. Too much trunk, but I fancy them beautiful racks. They're versatile. Gooning. This is the gooners. Weak men. This is what I'm talking about. Look at the levels of gooning. The highest rated comment is from Jiminy Cricket, the Goon King. Too much trunk, but I fancy racks. Nice rack, but you're correct, sir. Too broad in the beam. What the fuck? Not gonna look too good when it sags down to her waist and knees. What the fuck is this? What in the... Okay. Insane post, LOL. Her top fan chart. Maybe he has those pics already. Okay. I bet he makes her call him daddy. Must have a liberal wife with a daughter reminiscent of Chelsea. Ugh. Her top fan is sick in the head. Or he's done her multiple times. Yeah. Come on, bro. Maybe he's blind. I can't believe what I'm reading. So instead of putting all their energy into fixing what's wrong and being more involved with their wives and or children, they're spending all the time and money online with women who pretend to be interested in because they're getting paid to do so. Jeez, dude. What the fuck? I don't get it, but a friend of a friend is going through a divorce over her finding out he spent all their money on OnlyFans. What kind of shit is this? In Costa Rica, you could buy a woman that looks as good as any of these for about $40 an hour. What the fuck? I wasn't expecting there to be so many goon links in the article, and the level of degeneracy. I'm shocked. This is crazy to me. Wow. I can't believe what I just saw. All right. Someone said I'm all for trolling, but gooning is where I draw the line. Boys, I got to prepare for the private call. I got to clear my brain of what I just saw. That these are... I thought guys were paying for absolute baddies, dude. Like, undeniable tens. Undeniable, like... This is worse than Girl Next Door. This is like some random chick you walk by on the street, and guys are giving up tons of money, emptying out the wallets. It's over. It's over. If this hasn't black pilled you enough, it's over. Here you go for the gooners. Go ahead. Go ahead. Goon your life away. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Goon away. Here you go. Goon away, bro. You disappoint me. This is what you spent your money on. This is what you spent your money on. I just want you to know you and the millions of others spent your money on that. Okay. What a fucking world we live in. Wow. And with that, boys, the stream ends. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll do another one, I think, on Wednesday. I'll schedule it. Gooners are busy gooning to type in the chat. We understand. It's fine. And appreciate you all, as usual. Thank you. You motherfuckers need G's. But anyways, I'll see you on the next one, guys. Jeez Louise.